So you know the chords to one of your favorite songs, and you're all ready to play it. You've got the melody down, and now you know the chords that go with it. What do you do now? Well, in a previous video here on Better Piano, we talked about how to make your chords more interesting. And we did that by saying, hey, we know that a C major chord is just C, E, and G, but there is absolutely no rules as to which C's, which E's, and which G's we can play. And when we start to think outside the box, we get things like this, where we can start repeating notes, spreading notes out, making all kinds of cool things. But that still doesn't answer the question of how do we play chords in a way that can create motion and momentum? How on earth can we play things that are actually interesting to listen to? If we're stuck just playing chords like this, we're gonna run into all kinds of limitations. Mainly, we're just gonna be bored. We're gonna find ourselves wanting so much more. And we're gonna find ourselves wondering how people take something as simple as an A minor to an F to a C and create things like or even things like how do we get there from simple root position triads? Well, in this video, we're gonna unlock the secret to doing just that, and we're gonna give you a technique that you can use on literally anything. And it's kind of how like basically all music becomes more interesting. Okay, so I don't know if there's a name for this technique, but we're gonna call it the break it technique. In the break it technique, we're gonna do that to chords. We're gonna break them. How are we gonna do that? Well, this is where it gets fun because the possibilities are literally endless. What we are talking about is taking a single chord. In this case, let's use A minor. Now, we are going to look at all of the different possibilities that we talked about in that chords video, how we can take this A, this C, and this E, and we can spread out, play all over the place. That's the same exact chord, and all I did is I said, well, there's an A, there's an E, there's an A, there's an A. I've got 3 A's so far. There's a C, an E, and an A. 4 A's. There we go. But it doesn't matter how I lay them out. I can go like this. Still an A minor chord. That's the beauty of building chords in basically any way we want to. Okay, so we've got our A minor chord and we can build it any way we want to, but now we want to do something beautiful like this. So what did I just do? There's a few different ways to look at it. And the first way that we're gonna look at it is through the use of arpeggios. An arpeggio is simply when you take any chord and you play it one note at a time. This is a basic technique that many pianists will practice in just the same way that we practice scales. We want to practice arpeggios because there are shapes that every chord has. In the case of A minor, we can actually see that the shape is very similar to many other chords, mainly C major, or F major, or G major. And there are some other ones like E minor, D minor, right? But the trick for us to understand here is that A minor has no sharps or flats. It's just 3 white keys, right? So we can arpeggiate that by starting on A and going A, C, E, and then probably we're gonna cross under, but it's a big jump, right? So notice how I went. You can do this a couple different ways. I find it easiest with the size of my hands to go A on my first finger, then my second finger on C, right? So I'm just doing this, and then I put my 4th finger on E. And the reason I do that is because I find it much easier to then cross under with my thumb to jump up and start the chord over again in the next octave, right? So if I go 1, 2, 4 under, 1, 2, 4 under, 1, 2, 3 maybe this time because I want to reach up with 5 and grab the top. Now, could I do this with 1, 2, 3 like this? Yeah, sure. That works as well. This is why arpeggios are cool to work on. Ooh, that's interesting. I noticed as I came down, it was no longer comfortable to reach from here with my 3rd finger. For some reason, my hand wants to jump to my 4th finger. Let me try that again. Yeah, I don't know why. It's more comfortable for me coming down with the fourth finger. But my point here is that it kind of doesn't really matter how you do it. Maybe there's a technically correct fingering here, but the main thing is that you're comfortable. Now you may start to go, well, I can play more than that. That's another technique that we can use where we're sort of laddering our way up, right? And instead of playing 3 notes, we play 4. We can come down that way as well. These are all different ways that we can take a simple chord like A minor and give it so much shape. We can give it so much complexity just by introducing arpeggios. And if you noticed what I played earlier, it was mostly just arpeggios. I was playing them with both hands, but for the most part, I was literally just playing the notes of each default root position chord. I was just spreading them out. And then if we add G, A minor, F major, C, and G. And you can work your way down the piano using these 4-note arpeggios. And then if we did like 3 beats for each, so we're gonna go 2, 3, change the chord. Now I'm on F. And then C, G, and then that leads us back to A minor, right? And look at what we can do there. We can come back up. Already, we are introducing so much motion and momentum in our playing just by using arpeggios. And we've introduced some different concepts that you can use as exercises on how to move around those arpeggios with changing chords. Now, is this a note-for-note exercise? No, not necessarily, because it's flexible. All we're saying is we're going to use arpeggios maybe up, maybe down, and we're going to use our chord changes, and we're just going to outline each chord as we pass by it. These are really cool ways that you can kind of develop your own exercises on the fly. Okay, now that's not all, because we don't just want to be limited to taking a chord and arpeggiating it with 1 note at a time. Maybe we want to do something like this. What did I just do there? It sounded in some ways similar to the arpeggios. However, we are simply using the next development of this break it technique, playing multiple notes together, but still breaking up the chord. Now, the easiest way to think about this is to take any chord, A minor, and go root, then the rest of the chord. That's it. You can get your hands to do that pretty easily. Just play 5th finger here in the left hand on the root, and then 3 and 1 on 3 and 5. And again, we can just move through our chords. And we can see how that might be a little bit boring still. However, this unlocks sort of the next stage of what we're going to do with that information. It's showing us that it's possible to play part of a chord and then play a different part of the chord right after it. We can do it with a chord and then a note, or we can even do it with a chord and a chord, right? We can play multiple notes, 1 note, or multiple notes, multiple notes. There's so many different ways we can do this. So by using a combination of these things, with my right hand playing broken chords and my left hand playing almost more arpeggios, we can immediately create so much more momentum and interest in our playing. Now, in my left hand, I was using a little trick that can make playing with your left hand very easy, because as we know, for a lot of us, playing with our left hand is one of the hardest things about playing the piano. All I was doing that entire time is basically just playing 1, 5, 1 of any chord. F major, 1, 5, 1. C major, 1, 5, 1. G major, 1, 5, 1. We can just do that everywhere. And if we combine that with some of the techniques in our right hand, we get beautiful sounds. I'm simply repeating notes as needed, as it feels right, as it feels like I want more momentum out of a particular hand. All of these choices I'm just making on the fly, and I'm making them based on how much motion do I want here? Do I want to play a lot of notes all at once, or do I want it to be a little more sparse? Do I want to leave a little bit of space? But no matter what we're doing, we have these tools that we can use to make our playing more interesting at any given moment. Now, the advanced version of this would basically be start adding notes that are outside of just that triad. And we may do that by answering the question, well, what notes sound good in addition to just the ones from the chord? Maybe that B sounds nice. Maybe that G sounds nice. Ooh, I like the D as well. Well, now we've just opened things up. Now we have lots of options. We don't only have A, C, and E. Now we have A, B, C, D, E, maybe even G, right? We're like have almost all the notes now. We only don't have F, but do we like F? Maybe. Do we like F sharp? That sounds pretty cool too. How would we decide that? Well, let's see where we're going. We go to F, so maybe that F is the right choice there since we're headed to F, right? But what we've just answered, we can use basically all the notes. All the notes. And all I'm doing is I'm doing the same exact thing I was doing before, breaking up a chord. It's just that now instead of only having A, C, and E, now I have all of these notes to work with. See how we start improvising beautiful flowing lines. It's not some magic line that I've memorized over time. No, it's simply just, hey, I started with this, then I went to this, then I went to this, then I went, well, wait a minute, what fits with this? Maybe all of it. And now I'm just doing those same exact techniques, but I'm adding all these other notes. Now, of course, I've worked out my fingers, the actual technique that I'm using over time to make a lot of that easier for me. And maybe that's the part that's not so easy at first. But there are so many things that you can do using these concepts that don't require you to be able to do crazy stuff like that, even if all you can do is go. In some ways, that's a lot more beautiful. You are not limited by anything other than your own imagination. It's cliche, but it's absolutely true. We discuss things like this all the time in the Better Piano membership. And if you have any interest in joining us over there, there's a link in the description. We do live streams all the time. There are so many people. It's such a diverse group. There are everywhere from like professional musicians to total beginners. It doesn't matter where you are in your musical journey. What matters is that you get connected with a community of people, like-minded individuals, people wanting to learn music, people wanting to learn how to play the piano, who can help you reach your goals. You'll learn so much stuff. You'll meet some amazing people. If you have any interest at all, use that link down in the description below and learn more about becoming a Better Piano member. That's going to be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time.